Is it possible to make a domino setup in something other than earth gravity? Most number of dominoes you've used in your life. What was your biggest, hardest fail?
That is a great question. Thank you for asking that. Welcome to the H5 Domino community channel. This is the channel dedicated to the most enthusiastic domino fans around the world so we can share our passion for dominoes together. And now I'm going to be doing another Ask Hevish5 video. So I've gotten a lot of questions on my website. The link is in the description below if you want to ask one for a future episode. Lyle is actually here. He's the H5 Domino community manager. Right over there, looking at the second camera, and he's gonna be reading the questions. I'll answer them, and I hope this helps. Let's answer some questions.
Let's go. First question, Tristan Skipworth asks, has there been any times where everything keeps failing and you're nearly ready to give up? And if so, how do you avoid giving up?
Yeah, that has happened quite a few times where I'll be building something and it just doesn't work. Through the testing phase, it just fail after fail after fail. I think it's really more of a mindset game where if you think of it as a puzzle that you're trying to solve, it's like a learning experience that you're just figuring out.
It's almost like what you're trying to do is never impossible.
But sometimes it is. If a trick keeps failing, sometimes I think it is okay to move on and try something else. Maybe it won't work then and there, but come back to it in like a month or something. Maybe you'll learn something new during that time that'll just spark your memory, be like, oh, now that's simple, you just do this and then you fix it. Sometimes you just need to take a little break in between when you're building something and then build it later and you have a fresh mind. It is important to keep trying, keep engineering, and look at it as a fun challenge. Like that's how I think of dominoes. Like I don't really plan things a lot, I just kind of build because I like the process of putting it together in the best way and just figuring it out kind of on the spot. But in terms of if it keeps failing, if you knock it down by accident, always make safety gaps as much as you can. Even if you need to make a safety gap for your safety gap, if it's like far into the setup, then do that. Sometimes it's helpful to have another person there as you're filling it in so they can stop the line.
Richard Doherty asks, is there a particular outfit you like to have on for building with dominoes, or are different clothes or hairstyles easier to build in?
That is a great question. Thank you for asking that. Just generally, I always wear jeans when it's like fall, winter, spring. So I'm usually wearing jeans. Sweatpants are also good, but you just gotta be careful because some of them can be baggy, and especially like your legs at the bottom, they can be like swinging around when you're walking through things. I know some people who always wear sweatpants and they've like mastered the art of walking through setups with them. They're definitely more comfortable than jeans. I just kind of wear what I'm comfortable with. You know, I wear t-shirts, I wear sweatshirts a lot. I always have my hair up. If I have my hair down, my hair could just swing and hit the dominoes, so it's important that it's up. Stay away from really loose clothing that you might not know where it is at all times. So things that are loose, like even sweatshirt strings, tucking them in, or things like that. Anything that's loose that you don't know exactly where they are, like you just lose where they can be, don't use them. As long as you're in control of whatever you're wearing, if that makes sense, then you're fine.
Everything Dominoes asks, how do you build big projects in small spaces?
Ooh. Big projects in small spaces, I would always recommend building up. So if you build a big 3D structure or a wall, it's taking up a very small square footage. You could build a small tower that's like 2x2 or 4x4 and do thousands of dominoes in just a tiny little space. So that's one way to get around it. Another way you can do that is just making your setups more compact so things are just closer together. That does require a lot of testing because you'll have to add many barriers around sharp corners so things don't fly out and hit another line by accident. Condensing everything wherever you see empty space, fill it with dominoes, do some sort of a trick that could just fill everything so you don't see any table, any surface, it's just dominoes.
Jonah Michael Tankersley asks, how many dominoes do you have? Have you used them all before? What is the most number of dominoes you've used in your life?
Oh boy, what a question. So I own 83,000 dominoes. I have not used them all in one setup. My record is 30,000 by myself, and that took me like 2 weeks. So if I did 80,000 dominoes, that would take me a crazy amount of time. I don't know if I'll ever get to that, but I'd like to if I could take off like 3 months. But yeah.
Do it.
I'd like to. I'd maybe go crazy at the same time. But yeah, most dominoes that I've used in my life, I actually have no idea, but it is a lot. I don't want to give a number because it's probably going to be way off. If someone wants to go through all of my videos and count every single setup, let me know and I'll have an answer for you.
Winston H asks, what was your biggest, hardest fail to fix? in 2010 through 2012?
Ooh, my biggest fail or hardest fail to fix. This might not have been in like the years that you've mentioned, but in my 22,000 Dominoes setup, I think it was my 200,000 subscriber special, there was this one section where there were like sideways slow stones in green and white, and I don't remember how. Wait, actually I do remember how it failed. The dryer where we were doing laundry was really, really loud, and it was actually shaking the floor, so that vibration knocked down these slow stone lines. This sideways slow stones domino line fell over in the wrong direction and started knocking down this gray domino line. However, this is a very tricky spot to repair because there was a cube right next to this slow stones field, and the line was like so close to another line with a whole Sonmod field next to that. This is a very accurate representation. If you imagine this is the setup, that's the slow stones thing, right? This line fell right here. Meanwhile, there's another line right here and a cube right here. So there's nowhere to even put my foot. So what I have to do is I have to like sneakily go in here, remove this, and then put my arm here and balance, stretch like literally my entire body because I couldn't reach it. This field was pretty long, and then place the slow stones like this, balancing, hoping that I don't fall. And then, you just, whoops, knocked it down.
ST Cubing asks, what is the symbolism of the 5 in Hellish 5?
Great question. So there are 5 people in my family. My last name is Hevish, and I'm the youngest, so I'm kind of like the 5th Hevish.
Aaron Does Dominoes asks, how do you plan out your videos ahead of time?
So I have a whole spreadsheet of videos. I kind of just make videos as much as I have time for, I guess, and then add it to the list. So I'll choose from that list, okay, which one do I want to post, which one is in priority. Usually the ones in priority are like time sensitive, like it's a collaboration with another YouTuber and they want to also post it, or it's like a big event spectacle that should be posted soon. But other than that, it doesn't really matter too much which video is posted on what Saturday. Like they'll all be posted eventually. I have a big list and then I have a whole calendar. I rearrange the dates if needed.
Epic Dominoes 77 asks, where do you get your awesome color changing dominoes?
Ooh, well, those are homemade actually. So I have a whole video of how I made color changing dominoes. My dad basically spray painted them. We put them all flat next to each other and you just paint them. If you want to watch the video, it's in the card in one of these corners. This corner.
Joel N. Weber II asks, some of the physics YouTubers have made videos in airplanes that can briefly have approximately 0 gravity, as well as Mars gravity and Moon gravity. If someone was going to build and then topple a small domino setup in the brief Mars gravity or Moon gravity time on the plane, what domino setup would you recommend be built? And is it possible to build a domino setup while the plane is flying normally with normal Earth gravity, and then have the domino setup survive without toppling as the plane transitions to Mars gravity or Moon gravity, and then topple it during the Mars gravity or Moon gravity time?
What?
Is it possible to make a domino setup in something other than Earth gravity?
Well, I think it is possible to do a domino setup in things other than Earth gravity. It might behave differently. Maybe they'll fall slower. As long as you have some sort of force that's pulling it towards the center of the planet, then it should work. Mars, at least, you can stand on the ground, you can stand on the surface. It'll just behave differently because the gravity is different.
My guess would be that it would be the same as just slow motion. If you ever want a cheap and easy way to film dominoes in slow motion, go to space.
Or underwater dominoes. That's like real slow motion.
Yeah. Eddie's Toy Reviews asks, hi, I only have 100 dominoes and I was wondering what kind of setup or tricks would be the best for the amount of dominoes I have.
Ooh, 100 dominoes. Now, you can actually do a lot with just 100 dominoes. There are a lot of small domino tricks that only require maybe like 28 dominoes or less, which is just a pack of normal dotted dominoes. One video that I would recommend watching for inspiration is 68 Domino Tricks by ShanesDominoez. A lot of those tricks are pretty small, or they only require just a couple of dominoes, and you can do some really neat effects and even make a screen link out of them by combining different projects and connecting them through a common domino line that goes off screen, and then putting that together to make it seem like it's a really big project when only 100 dominoes are used for each project. But yeah, you don't need a lot of dominoes to make cool things. I think a lot of the cool tricks, sometimes overlooked, are the small ones that like rotate dominoes and they do flips or they do cross throughs, things like that, and that can really be explored with just the small, intricate tricks.
Heather asks, how do I get involved?
How to get involved? Thank you for asking that. You can get involved at the H5 Domino Community Hub, hevish5.com/H5Domino Community. And there's a whole tab that says get involved. It'll lead you to all these ways to get involved. You can leave me questions for the next Ask Hevish 5. You can submit Domino videos for the Domino Deep Dive series. You can apply to make a community video. There's so many ways to get involved, as well as Domino events, Domino clubs, Domino news. We have a newsletter that we do every single month. You get to learn about all the breaking news and Domino tricks and feature builders of the month in the Domino community. So go check it out. Link is in the description. And as always, I'm Lily /Hevish5. And
I'm Jack of all Space 98.
And I'll see you next Saturday.